Hello, thanks for joining. Today, I wanted to talk about um, menopausal weight gain and specifically weight gain around your waist. And what I did at the time that I gained that weight to lose the weight, the steps that I took, and then what I do and have done since then to kind of maintain my weight. So, thank you for joining. I'm Beverly, by the way, and this channel is dedicated to Black and Brown women who are interested in better mind and body and nutritional health. And I'm a lifelong exerciser and a health enthusiast. And so, if you're over 40 and kind of perimenopausal, or you're in menopause like I am, this is a space for us where hopefully you feel heard, and there's information here that might be helpful for you as you enter this chapter of your life, and that you feel welcome. And if you haven't already, if you would please subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, I'd appreciate it. And yeah, let's get right into this. The first thing that I did, and I talked about it in my other videos, because I'm doing like a series on menopause and my experience with it essentially. And I think that this will be the last one, unless some crazy new symptom happens that hasn't happened to me yet. And I feel like you need to know about it. But today I am talking about weight gain and specifically the belly fat. And for me, the first thing that I did, as I referenced in the other videos, was I had to get my hormones tested, and I had to kind of figure out hormonally where I was. And, which really answered the question of why I was gaining weight in my midsection. And, all of those hormonal shifts that we go through when we go through menopause, it affects not just our mood, but it affects our weight. And generally, for women, we get that weight gain around our belly. And I also got some weight gain around my back area. And I was just like, where is this coming from? So after I had my hormones tested, the next thing I did was I started eating in a different way. And what kind of helped me with that was Dr. Mindy Peltz and Dr. Jason Fong, and they talk about like a fasting lifestyle. But what I did in terms of my diet is I started eating for my blood sugar. That's what I often say to people. I eat for my blood sugar. And what does that mean? That means that I eat foods that aren't going to spike my blood sugar, that essentially, and I'm not a doctor, and again, I encourage you to kind of look at some of their videos where they explain it in a more medical way. But instead of eating foods that really spike my blood sugar, I eat foods where it's like a softer ride, right? Like it's a softer curve on my blood sugar, because your blood sugar is going to rise when you eat something, right? When you eat most things, your blood sugar is going to rise. So what you eat is really important. And for me, I eat foods that like lots of greens and vegetables, protein, good fats, that sort of thing. I try and avoid most of the time. No one's ever going to have like a perfect diet, but most of the time I'm trying to avoid simple sugars and simple carbohydrates, white flours, those sort of things. In general, I'm not going to eat those. That is not going to be part of my diet on a daily basis. So when I eat this way, that has helped me immensely. So eating for my blood sugar. What does eating for my blood sugar mean? Um, for me, that means ketogenic ish. I say ish because I really don't. I don't count macros, and I'm not measuring anything. I'm just eating certain foods and keto-esque foods. So I eat, as I said, lots of greens. I eat like cabbage and carrots. Those aren't green, but I eat cabbage probably every day. I eat eggs. I cook with avocado oil or coconut oil. I use butter, real butter, um, cheese. Lots of nuts. My favorite nuts that I eat are macadamia nuts. I probably have those every day. And so I'm not really looking at calories. And I not saying that that is not helpful, particularly measuring things and counting your macros when you're trying to get on track. But at this point, I really don't do that. And it's the most free that I've ever felt, like eating wise. And I've been able to maintain my weight by doing that. It's just for me felt very, very easy. And it's a lot of foods that I like. So it's not like I'm eating these things and I'm like, oh, I don't really like it. The foods that I'm eating are really delicious. You can make some really delicious meals. I feel very full, so when I say I'm a volume eater, when I make cabbage or vegetables or a salad, it's a really big salad. I'm not having like a cup of salad or a cup of I'm having like a big amount. And I fill up on that along with other foods. But I'm just saying those vegetables, I'm really getting a big quantity in my diet and it helps me to feel full. I'm not really craving any junk. And I feel very stable in terms of my hunger. I don't have this hunger feeling. So that's the other thing that I do is a kind of keto, I say keto-ish diet because and then I eat carbs. I do eat carbs. I eat sweet potatoes, I eat quinoa. I eat a complex carb when I eat carbs. Again, I'm really trying to avoid that white flour, like things that are just very sugar forward. I'm probably not going to eat that, at least not with any regularity. I won't. Sometimes I do, but just I don't eat that regularly. And I have to say, I don't even miss it. The other thing that I do that relates to my blood sugar is I test my blood sugar and I use this, which is it's called a Keto-Mojo. And I thing and you kind of prick your finger. I'm not diabetic. I've never had my blood work done where I'm pre-diabetic, but it's similar to what a diabetic would do, where they check their blood sugar. And the Keto-Mojo also, there's a separate strip, and it checks your ketones. So it shows you whether or not how close you are to being in ketosis, right, which is that fat burning mode, or if you are in ketosis. So I will check that. And if you're interested in getting one, I put in my description below, there's a discount code there. I think you get 10% off. It might be 15%, but 10% off if you use the link below if you're interested in getting one. And it seemed like a really, the first couple times when we tested my blood sugar, I was a little like, oh my God, like, squeamish. And now it's like, I don't even think about it. It's nothing. It's just a it doesn't hurt. It's just like it's a second long prick in your finger and that's it. And so I do that every day, as I said, probably twice a day, as I test my blood sugar using the Keto-Mojo, and it's super easy, and it just lets me know where I am, right? It lets me know where my blood sugar is, and it lets me know if I'm trying to get into that fat burning mode, ketosis. It lets me know, am I there or am I close to being there? And so for me, I have found it to be a super helpful tool. It might not be for everybody, but I love the science of it. I have to say, it really takes the guesswork out of it for me. And I just love the science of it. I can look at my blood sugar and say, oh, my blood sugar is like a good level. Oh, look, I'm in ketosis. It's really, I don't know. I'm not wondering about it. I know. The other thing that I do that I've been doing now for, I don't know, the last 3 years probably is I talked about Dr. Mindy Peltz and Dr. Jason Fong is I intermittent fast. And what that means for me before you get scared off by the word fast. What it means for me is that I just don't eat anything before 11 a.m. and I don't eat anything after 8 p.m. So for me, number one, waiting until 11 a.m. I usually do my workout in the morning. I have coffee. I do allow myself black coffee. I don't put any cream or anything in it, but just black coffee. And then again, I won't eat my first meal until after 11 a.m. And sometimes I wait a little longer, depending on how busy I am. But 11 a.m. would be my starting point for the day. And then 8 p.m. is my cutoff. So I will not eat anything after that. I'll drink like water or sparkling water, something that doesn't have any caloric intake. I will have that after 8, but I generally am not going to eat meals after 8 p.m. I won't eat late. And 8 o'clock is pretty late and for me. And so both times for me feel easy, where you eat within this amount of time. And I'm not eating like every second of the hour during that time. I eat when I'm hungry. And but that has really been remarkably effective for me and remarkably easy, right? And so in doing that, again, I'm not a doctor, so I can't fully explain it in a proper way. But in doing that, you're just allowing for your body to use the energy that you've given it for the day, and it allows your blood sugar to come down. It allows your ketones to come up, hopefully, right, to where you get into or go towards that fat burning mode. So that's another thing that I do, is intermittent fast. Eat late. I'm generally not going to eat a late dinner. And there are occasions where, those rules are out the window. If I'm traveling, depending on where we are, for my job, with my job, I travel for my job. And during that couple week period where I'm on location for this job, um, based on my work schedule, it's kind of a production work schedule. I probably can't stick to that. And and it's fine. It's fine. And then when I get back home, I just get back to that routine because it works for me. But that's what it is for me. And you can look up intermittent fasting. There's all kinds of eating windows. Some people eat one meal a day. I don't do that. I've done it, but I don't do that regularly. I eat within that 11 to 8 p.m. period, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. period. So again, that is what works for me. And you'll have to kind of figure out what that is. But in terms of my menopausal weight gain, it has been a game changer for me. The other thing that I do or had to do at the time, really I had to do at the time, I incorporate this in now, but what I did exclusively at the time when I was in menopause and I had my belly fat and it was just so hard for me I was putting on this weight, and I'm a lifelong exerciser. And so generally how it always was for me is I'd do, cardio and I'd weight train, and then over the years I'd mix in some kickboxing or some other type of activity, but usually, an intense activity. Like I'm a hard worker. I I don't feel like I'm doing something, or I didn't used to feel like I was doing something unless I was working really hard. And so I was doing that, and yet I was still gaining weight. I still had this belly fat and back fat. And I remember just all over for myself, considering I was lifting and doing these other things, I was just soft. It was like no muscles would form. And it was because of my hormonal imbalance, right? It was because of I was in menopause and I had this hormonal imbalance that was happening. And so I remember at that time, um, because in addition to the estrogen and testosterone and progesterone levels being all off in me, I remember my doctor telling me that my adrenal hormones, my adrenal glands were just shot. She said they were burned out, right? And that's from like high stress. And I had been in years past under a tremendous amount of stress. And so she was saying they're just burnt out, right? And so the kind of exercise that I was doing, this high stress exercise, really intense cardio, really intense weight training, it wasn't the right thing for me at that time. And so what I did for probably 4, 6 months, maybe at that time, is I just did yoga and I did Pilates. And it was so hard for me to switch because I felt like, oh my God, I need to be doing so much more. I would rotate back or, go back and forth between yoga and Pilates during the week. And no intense cardio, no intense weight training for like 4 to 6 months. I just didn't do it. And sure enough, with less, and getting my hormones in order, my that weight around my midsection, the weight on my back, all of that started to come off. And it was really kind of a revelation for me because, again, as a person who is like a hard worker, I just thought, oh my God, I have to just do these intense workouts. And it turned out that at that time, I just had to do something different. And that's really important to remember. And I say that for myself as much as I say that for you, that sometimes we just have to pivot my right eating and my exercise. What once worked for me, right, in my 20s and 30s and 40s, right? These things worked. It was like I had this agreement with my body that if you do, you know, really intense cardio and you do really intense this, um, my body's going to perform this way. And when I hit menopause, it was just out the window. It didn't matter. We had a new agreement. Me and my body had a new agreement, and I was unaware. So now, I've pivoted the way that I eat, even the way that I exercise. I'm back to weight training, but I walk. Right? We have dogs. We walk our dogs, and I don't do too much intense cardio anymore. I lift, but not as heavy and not as intensely as I once did because I'm just at a different chapter of my life. Sometimes you just need to stop and turn a different way and pivot to a different thing. If you haven't already, if you would please subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. And thank you so much for spending time with me and listening. I hope there was something that helped. And if you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. If you have a similar experience or an experience that you'd love to share, I would love to hear about it. Please leave it in the comments. And until next time, guys, take it easy.